Would you like to be able to embed a dynamic key performance indicator chart into your PowerPoint slide, one that you can update on a per slide basis without having to redesign the graphic each time? Well, I'll show you how. In this video, I'll show you two methods of creating the KPI graphic. The first is to build the chart in Excel and then embed that workbook into the PowerPoint deck. The second method is to build the chart directly within PowerPoint. Then finally, I'll talk about one instance where this method may not work as well, but there is a workaround. For the first method, I've created this simple workbook where a user can input the performance of their KPI as a percentage between 0 and 100. I'm not going to discuss data validation or error checking here, but I strongly advise that if this workbook is to be used by other people, then you consider putting some kind of safety checks in place. Currently, the only formula in the workbook are in column D, where I'm using a combination of the if and functions to work out whether the KPI performance is bad, being 0 up to 40%, okay, being 40 up to 70%, and good, being 70% or more. The balance formula at the bottom is working out the unused percentage that is required for the chart that is going to be created in the next step. The next thing to do is turn this data into a donut chart. So we'll highlight the percentages here, go to the Insert menu, Charts, we'll choose a donut chart. You'll get a very basic donut chart. We'll start by removing the title. We don't need that. We don't need the legend. The next step is to format the color of the segments of the donut chart based on the KPI performance. So the first thing I will do is click the data segments and then click again to get the balance segment. Right click, format data point, and with this one we will fill that with a solid fill color. Let's put that as a middle gray. As the KPI is currently showing an okay balance, the remainder of the donut needs to be formatted in the color that you want to use for an okay result. So here I'll click on that data point and change that to a solid fill of an orange. Now at the moment the chart only shows the balance and the okay sections, so to format the colors of the bad and the good we'll need to change the KPI percentage to make those visible. The first thing I'll do is change that to 10% so I can see the bad. Click and click again to highlight the data point, and we'll change that to a solid fill of a pale blue. I'll now go and change the KPI percentage to something that reflects a good result. So I'll use 80% and I'll click and click again to activate the data point. And I'll change that to a solid fill of fairly bright green. The reason I've chosen blue and not red for the bad data point is that combination of red and green can cause issues for colorblind people, so I'm steering clear of that in this example. Next, let's remove the border from the graph series and tidy up the chart to make it a bit more symmetrical, ready to paste into PowerPoint. We highlight the data series, we want no border. We'll make the chart background have no line and no fill. We'll just make that symmetrical. There we go. Our next step is to add an overlay to the chart to divide it into 10 equal sections of 10%. To do this, we'll add another data series by clicking on the chart, go to chart design, select data and add a series which we'll call overlay. Now, all we want is 10 equal sections. You don't have to worry about creating a data range in the sheet itself. You can create an array within the series values as long as all the values are equal. It's fine, so just click OK, and there you and OK again, and you have your second series. What we want is for these two to overlap. So we click the new series, change chart type, and for overlay, we want that to appear on the second axis. Now, all you need to do is remove the fill from the overlay series. So select the data series, go fill, no fill, and then your KPIs reappear underneath. For a border, we want a solid line. We'll go with white. We'll make that 2 points. And there you go. There is your KPI chart ready to copy into PowerPoint. Moving over to PowerPoint, I've created a basic slide that I'm going to insert the KPI chart into, and I'm putting it in the top right corner to draw people's attention to the performance of the KPI before they read the rest of the content of the slide. I'll jump back into Excel and select the chart, Control-C to copy, then back to PowerPoint, and I will paste as keep source formatting and embed workbook. And there we have the chart in. I will just move that into the corner and resize. And there we have it. The KPI is in the slide deck. When I pasted the chart into the workbook, I used the paste option to keep the source formatting and embed the workbook. And be aware that there is a second option which does the same thing, but uses the destination theme and embeds the workbook. If your chart uses colours that aren't in the palette of your presentation, then you need to use the source theme to maintain those colours in your graph. Best practice would be to make sure that the palettes of both the chart, workbook, and the presentation are the same. And therefore, you can use the destination theme. Now you want to be able to change the KPI graphic on the slide. So to do that, you would click on the chart in the corner, right click and go to edit data. Now here you have two options. You have edit data or edit data in Excel. If you click edit data, you get a small window that appears where you can change the percentage, change that to 40. You can see that the chart updates dynamically on the slide. My preferred option would be to click on the chart and go to edit data in Excel, which would pop open the workbook. You can update from here again, and you now get the dynamically updated chart in the corner. Just close the workbook and your slide is updated. Each chart is independent from charts on any other slide. So if we were to make a copy of the slide, right click and duplicate and go to the second and edit the data. And as you can see, you have different KPI charts on the different slides. I've now changed the formatting of the second slide to a dark background, and as you can see, the white border separating the chunks of the KPI stands out. So if you want to get rid of that, click on the overlay series, right click format data series, and change the border to your background color. As you can see, that now blends in nicely. The second method of creating the KPI graphic within your presentation is to create the chart directly within PowerPoint. On your slide, you can go to the Insert menu and insert a chart. And in this instance, we want to go through Pie Charts and go to Donut. It will create the chart for you. As you can see, it's opened the Edit Data window, and the chart is linked via an Excel table. So the easiest way of doing the update is to click the button for Edit Data in Excel. As you can see here, it's created a table of data. You would just go through and amend the table to show what it is that you need. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to speed up the video as I work through this. And there you have it. There's the KPI graphic created directly within PowerPoint. As with the other method, if you want to change it, you just go to Edit Data and change percentage, and the graph will update dynamically. Unfortunately, there's no way of adding a chart to a slide master that the user can then edit. So your best course of action with these is to set up the slides the way you want them to look in a template deck that users can then change. Now, as I mentioned at the start, there's one minor issue with these graphics, and to demonstrate it, I've set up this slide with a picture on the background. As you can see, the border of the series stands out against the picture. One thing you could do is to change the format of the border to match as closely as you can a color within the picture. So I've gone into the border, solid line, theme colors, and at the bottom here you have the eyedropper tool. So I'll select that and choose, say, that there. So again, it's not ideal, but it looks better than it did. Now, a second option that you have is to remove the series border completely. And to do that, click on the overlay series on the chart and press delete. As in this instance, it may change the size of the chart slightly, so you'll have to play around with it a bit. So although it looks cleaner now without the border, you lose some of the context. A third option is to bring in an overlay as a graphic on top of the chart and set its color to the background of the slide. But to do this, you must make sure that the picture behind the chart is set as the slide background. So from the Insert tab, I'll choose Picture, this device, and I'll bring in a scalable vector graphic that I've created. I'll just hold down the Control key and bring that down to a usable size. I then have to take the SVG and convert it to a shape from the graphics format menu up here, which allows me to change the color to the background. So selecting the shape, I right click on it, format shape, and go to slide background fill. Now, as you can see here, you can see the background through the shape. So the trick now is just to align that over the chart. And there we are, that's overlaid. So you can actually see the background through that. The downside of this is it can make updating the chart a little more difficult, so bear this in mind when giving the file to other users. See, when I'm selecting, what I'm getting is the graphic over the top. What we need to do is go to the Home tab and choose Select, Selection Pane, and choose the chart. From there, you can right-click on the selected item and edit data and update accordingly. There we go, the chart has updated. And there you have it. That's how you create dynamic key performance indicator graphics in your PowerPoint slides. You're not limited to the donut chart. You could use stacked bars or stacked columns, depending on the format of your slide deck. The scalable vector graphic, or SVG, used in the last section of the video was created with a free and open source piece of software called Inkscape. If you'd like a tutorial on how that was created, please let me know in the comments. In the meantime, I'll provide links to all the files used in the video description. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.